Good morning, Old Testament. Hope you guys are doing well heading into week 2 of second full week, that is, of online school. I am coming to you from my classroom, although I suspect that is about to change given the old stay-at-home order. Wondering how you guys are doing. Me and my family are doing fairly well, all things considered. Generally enjoying our time at home, doing a lot of cooking, hanging out with the animals, yard work, and so on and so forth. I hope you guys are enjoying a little bit more time off, as it were, but certainly miss you guys and look forward to getting back to school whenever that happens to be. This video is for Old Testament, April 6th through 10th. It's going to look similar to last week, I would say, but I have a few comments about some ways that you can improve. I'm hoping that you're enjoying a little bit of freedom to choose some things to study in the Bible. I'm hoping that you're learning a little bit from other folks, Bible Project Video and John Piper, about best practices for studying the Bible and knowing God in it. So, somewhat similar to last week, you're going to have some things to watch, some things to write, some things to read. So, the first thing you need to watch is this video, and you're going to leave a comment at the end of the video to demonstrate to me that you watched it. The comment I would like for you to leave is tell me one thing you are missing about actually going to school in a literal physical location at RCS. What is one thing that you're missing about actually going to school? Second, the Bible Project video that you're going to watch this week is called How to Read the Bible Poetry. It's not in the Bible book section of the website. It's actually under series. And the series is called How to Read the Bible, and then there's a bunch of different videos underneath that. I will put a link in the email, but if you want to try to navigate to it, you go to the Bible Project Video website, go to Series, and then select How to Read the Bible, and then select Poetry. What I want you to do with this Bible Project video is a couple of things. First, I'd like for you to describe the various ways the couplet works in Hebrew poetry. The couplet is a tool of particularly the Psalms, in the same way that a lot of our poetry today uses rhyme and meter to communicate meaning. Hebrew poetry typically does not rhyme, but instead uses this thing called the couplet. So you're going to have to learn what that is, and then tell me the various ways that the couplet functions in Hebrew poetry. And then I want you to provide examples from the Psalms of each type of couplet, and then explain each example that you list. So this will make sense because you're going to see that there are several types of couplets. I would expect this to be a pretty healthy paragraph. If you give me 3 sentences, that is not going to be sufficient. I want you to dig in, learn something about the couplet, learn something about Hebrew poetry, and tell me about the different types of couplets, and give me an example of each, and then explain those examples, what they mean, what the verses mean that are in each couplet. So the first thing you need to do is the Bible Project video. Second thing that you need to watch, I guess third technically after this video, is a look at the book video. It is for Psalm 100, and it's called The Keys to Knowing How to Live. Again, that's at desiringgod.org. I will put a link in the email as well. What you need to do with this is 2 things. Answer this question: what are the keys to live, or the keys to living, according to Psalm 100? and I want you to write one paragraph. Piper's going to talk about the structure and the logical flow of Psalm 100. And I want you to key in on the logical flow and the structure of Psalm 100, and then tell me how that demonstrates some big picture key ways to live life as a Christian. Write one paragraph engaging with that idea. Secondly, I would like for you to choose one of the couplets in Psalm 100 and write one paragraph explaining that couplet. So you should use some of the knowledge that you gained from the Piper video, and I want you to apply that to Psalm 100. I hope this will be very meaningful to you. Psalm 100 is not terribly lengthy. It is a whopping 5 verses, and I want you to choose a couplet. There are several of them, and explain what it means. And you'll write one paragraph for that. Next, your reading for this week, similar to last week, I'm going to have you choose one of the following Psalms, 22, 42, or 147. And then I want you to study the Psalm, continuing to use and glean some of the tools that Piper demonstrates. And I also want you, again, to use that the tool of the couplet. You don't need to explain every single verse, but use the tool in some way. Use the concept to talk about Psalm 22, 42, or 147. I also want you to consider the big picture structure of your psalm. Does it have key words, several themes, a main theme? How are the different parts connected? I'd like for you to write a half page describing what you learned from your psalm. Again, include use of the couplet as I said above. Many of you need to go deeper in this section. Some of you did great. Some of you, however, I think just sort of saw some key words in your psalm and kind of slapped down some spiritual stuff. Wrote some words with Jesus and love and whatever the psalm title had. That this week will be insufficient. I really want you to engage with your psalm, learn something from it, throw your heart and your mind into it, and write me a half page describing what you learned. I'm envisioning that being a half page in your typical double-spaced Microsoft Word document, but of course if you're writing that in an email, which is fine, just think of how long a half page in a double-spaced Word document would be. So throw your heart into that. It's fine if you write some things and send me a picture, but you ought to demonstrate that you really made friends with this psalm. And if I see you in a couple weeks, which I will not, but if I did and I said, hey, I remember you studied Psalm 22. What's it about? You ought to have made friends with it such that you could tell me what the psalm was about. So finally, the writing section, which is roughly a summary of many of the things that I've already covered. You're going to give me your Bible Project video work on the biblical poetry with one paragraph. You're going to give me some look at the book work, again with 2 paragraphs. You can look back at that to see which one is which. And then thirdly, you're going to give me a half page demonstrating what you learned from studying the psalm that you chose. Bible Project video work, look at the book work, and then your own personal Bible study. Email all of this to me, preferably in one email. But if some other version of that works better for you, so be it. But preferably in one email. Email this to me by Friday, April 10th at 3 p.m. You're welcome to send it before that if you desire. Again, my hope for you is that you would grow in skill at studying and learning from the Psalms, but that you would also grow in love to them. In fact, what you're going to learn from Psalm 100 has to do with the way that knowledge and love and desire and delight go together. So put your brain and your heart into your psalm study this week. Okay, this is for the whole week. I expect it to be good and rich and full. Do not just slap a few words on a notebook page in about 5 minutes. Rather, put your heart into each of these three things. Learn from people who know what they're doing in working with the Bible, but also take that and apply it to the Bible yourself and study the Bible on your own. So don't forget to leave that comment, which I explained at the beginning of the video. Miss you all. Love you all. Email me if you have any questions. One more little bit before I go. Many of you sent me your things via Google Docs last week, which is fine, but almost all of you that sent me your things via Google Docs, they made me ask for permission, which was kind of an annoying step for me to send multiple emails and request permission and so on and so forth. So if you could look into the Google Docs settings and give me permission at the first when you send an email, that would be great. Thanks, guys.